Hello, and welcome back to the 1980s Twilight Zone. And today's episode, the third one on the first season, we find a healer, children's zoo, and Kentucky Rye. So, the first one, a healer, is about a man who finds a healing crystal thing. It's very New Agey. It's the start of the New Agey sort of trend with crystals and stuff. I can't read the entire plaque, but it does say religious talisman. That's it. We don't know what religion or why, but it just says religious talisman. He gets shot trying to escape, and he apparently doesn't bleed all that much, because when he's lying down and takes his hand off his wound, you can see that the blood is run this way. If he was running, the blood would have run that way. So he only starts bleeding when he lays down. Unfortunate for him. But, you know, that's how it works, I guess. Then he uses the crystal to heal himself. Good for him, I guess. And not only is the wound gone, but the blood around it. Where did the bullet go? I don't think it passed through him. And did it magically disappear? I think the sort of cleaning of the wound makes it look less impactful. And it's more difficult to do it any other way, of course. I think it's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade where they actually have a bullet wound that gets washed off, which I found to be an extremely satisfying special effect. This one is not quite as good. He then goes on a healing tour using this stone and using sort of God as cover for his healing ability. It has nothing to do with God. It's just a crystal that does it. And this reminded me of a movie called is it called Next? Can't remember. Yeah, I think it's Next with Nicolas Cage, where he has miraculous abilities, but he hides them as being a stage magician, that it's all fake. And he's using God as a cover for his ability, which is kind of cool, I thought. He starts bleeding again as the stone loses potency, or he loses his connection to it. And when he gets healed, the blood on his hand disappears. Which again, strange cleaning. His jacket didn't get, or his sweater didn't get cleaned from the initial wound, but now his hand is cleaned from this. The little kid, who has been deaf from birth, we have learned, still understands spoken English and doesn't freak out when Eduardo says, you know, come with me, child. How would he know what that was? Or is Eduardo magic as well? And then we have this weird line. The heart cannot heal what the eye cannot see. It's always a puzzling line to me. I never quite got into that one. But that's it for the healer. There's a better sort of New Agey episode later on in the series. This one isn't particularly gripping to me, but here we are. This is the episode. Next up is Children's Zoo, which it has no narration at all. It gives no context either before or after. And it just has this wonderful invitation that the little kid gets, and she brings her parents to this zoo, and then they are swapped out essentially, which, I mean, it's an interesting sort of concept for something a kid might do when they don't like their parents anymore. They could just replace them. The sort of outside of the children's zoo has a cat and an owl walking sort of arm in arm. And that, I mean, I don't think the author or whoever designed that thought of that, but that is one of the striking images of Lilith's garden. Now, Lilith is Old Testament mythology, or actually predates it, but that struck me, you know, it would have been cool if there was a further sort of inkling as to Lilith in here, but there isn't. So, Wes Craven, who directed several of these episodes, he's seen the episode, being one of the mad sort of parents who got stuck here. And the kid has no lines, like, at all, like, none. She doesn't say anything, just mum. I don't know why. And I don't think I haven't seen any other credits from her. Maybe this is her only one. I thought that this sort of gave an illustration of the stages of grief. We see sort of the depression, the people sort of lying down. We see denial, anger, bargaining, and acceptance. So there's sort of different stages to this, and that's of course very broad and generalized. But I thought that was sort of telling in this episode. And of course, when I saw this for the very first time, I remember thinking what horrible person you'd have to be to come back to the children's zoo, right? So you have kids, you're mean to them, the kid puts you in the zoo, you learn your lesson, you get another kid, and then you get put back in the zoo. I don't think any of these characters are that way, but what horrible people you'd have to be. Or at least maybe the kid's just dumb and picks bad parents, the ones that offers ice cream and they haven't learned anything. But that's it. So we get to Kentucky Rye, which is about the Bar of the Dead, and it had insta-dry blood. So he bangs his head and he cuts it, and he has a cut on the side of his forehead, and it bleeds, instantly dries. So he can dab at it, but it doesn't make a difference. And that looked kind of odd. I think they could have done with him actually seeing that it was bleeding, it was dynamic, and then of course it disappears when he enters the bar. The light on the face of the dead man is very much the Purple Testament, which is of course an older Twilight Zone episode. And it sort of signifies that he is of the dead. And there's a detail here when he falls asleep on the pool table and he wakes up. There's a pool cue and some balls and stuff there. And I found that detail was vaguely aggravating, because if the bar is abandoned, everything has been pulled up and there's, dust everywhere, all the bottles are empty, there's still stuff in here indicating that people were, recently here. There's glasses and stuff. If you vacate a bar, you take that stuff with you, including the pool cue. So he deserves to be here, and I'm not quite sure how. I mean, he obviously ran the guy off the road. He is a bad person. We get that. But I wonder if the entire thing was set up by the barman or someone to just capture him here forever. There's very little context here to get to. But that's the end of the episode, and we don't get to learn that stuff, so I'm guessing it's all up to our imagination. Now, I am looking forward to seeing you next week for the 4th episode, and I'll see you then. Take care now.